Hello, my name's Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. By accessing this presentation, you're inviting me to share this information regarding our passage through this challenging and yet very hopeful time. And this is the care and feeding of a New World Age report for the Gregorian date of March 18th, 2014, and 1 Ebb or Road in the Mayan Tzolkin calendar. We'll also be discussing the sun moving into Aries for the equinox, which will be spring in the northern hemisphere and autumn in the southern, and the Aries New Moon. March 18th, 2014 is 1 Ebb or Road. It carries the themes of destiny, guidance, travel, vessel of time, dew from heaven, abundance, organization, caretaking, empathy, growth, service to others, the ladder that connects heaven and earth, the life force also known as prana in the Vedic tradition and chi in the Chinese culture, harvest and humility. Ian Lungold describes road as sometimes being referred to as grass, which is the most bountiful of all life forms, but also the most humble. The road of life leads us to our true destiny on our spiritual path that we all must travel. This 13-day period would be a great time to humbly offer or serve others. Before I get into the daily energy for 1 Ebb or Road, on the 18th, all the planets are appearing to move forward from our vantage point here on the Earth, with the exception of Mars and Saturn, which are appearing to move retrograde or reverse motion. Mars turned retrograde on March 1st. During this report period, Mars representing our drive and aggression is in Libra. Mars is in its detriment in Libra because its opposite sign, Aries, is the sign of Martian rulership and is traditionally considered to have difficulty operating positively in Libra. Because of this retrograde cycle, Mars is going to spend 8 months in the sign of the scales. Typically, Mars spends 2 months in a sign. So this placement for most of the year is uncomfortable and monotonous. And Mars agitates, and in Libra, it's about relationships, and this can lead to social anger. This may cause us to see an increase in passive aggression. Mars is also about drive and wanting to take action, but in Libra, it's likely to be the drive to make somebody else take action. Mars has been in Libra for several months, and I've already seen people competing for love. They're willing to fight for a partner. People become aggressive in their quest for romantic love. Mars is also about sexuality. So retrograde Mars periods are contraindicated for beginning a satisfying sexual relationship. As much as Mars is unhappy in Libra, it's also very unhappy retrograde. So this is a difficult time to access our drive and aggressive energy. Saturn turned retrograde on March 2nd. The themes of Saturn and Scorpio are depression, loss, failure, fear, the shadow, betrayal. You know, all this stuff really, really goes deep. And so superficiality really doesn't cut it with Saturn and Scorpio. Saturn retrograde is a taskmaster that demands that we take responsibility to review the scorpionic themes such as motives and ethics and intentions. And if you're not clear about these subjects, you're likely to feel like your burden becomes heavier than the load you might have previously chosen prior to Saturn turning retrograde. And this being the equinox during this report period, I thought I'd share a technique that I learned from Barbara Hand Clow regarding setting intentions for manifestation over the next year. In the north, the astrological new year begins when the sun enters 0 degrees Pisces, and this year that will occur on March 20th. If you live south of the equator, you want to implement this technique in September when spring begins with you, for you. The ideal is that we use the seasons to move our intentions through 4 stages. So in the spring, we're planting the seeds of our new ideas. During the summer, we birth these ideas into a physical form. In the autumn, we figure out what is working and create balance by weeding out the things that aren't working and are no longer, or that we're no longer interested in. And from the winter solstice until the spring equinox, we reflect on our creations and contemplate the impact of our intentions on others. So each spring, I write down 3 intentions. Usually one's about career, one's about love, and one's about a personal or spiritual goal. And I word them as if they've already manifest. For instance, this year, one of my 3 intentions is I'm so happy and grateful now that I live comfortably on the resources provided for me by following my fascinations, sharing my creativity, experiences, and knowledge with others. I then follow the outline for planting these intentions as described by Barbara Hand Clow in her book, The Alchemy of 9 Dimensions, which is to visualize the intention happening in my life. So I'm seeing myself researching topics that I'm interested in and interacting with others by being creative, which includes writing and playing music, along with writing and recording videos, participating in radio shows, discussing the events and stories that are my life, and giving readings to those who invite me to provide information that may help them to better navigate their lives, and receiving compensation for my efforts. Then I place these visualizations between my third eye, between my eyes and in my third eye, and I just hold them there. And once there's clarity about the images in my third eye, I then move my intentions to the back of the skull, close to the neck, and hold these images there as if they're being projected on a movie screen until they become electrified, and then I move on to the next scene in the visualization. Once I've completed this process with 3 scenes in an intention I'm trying to manifest, I release it and forget about the wish. I have the intentions written down so I can check them at different points during the year, particularly during the changing seasons to move my intention into the next phase. And I found this to be very effective when it's aligned with the seasons. So let's look at the daily vibrational energy for this Trecena. March 18th, 2014 is one ebb or road in the Mayan Tzolkin calendar. So this is about unity experience through serving your community, as we have Venus, and it's in a sextile or a 60-degree angle to Uranus. So from our perspective here on Earth, this would be a 60-degree angle. The day seeks excitement outside of the daily routine, stimulates new interactions with people who can fascinate us. But be aware that romance begun under this transit is not likely to be long-lasting, even though at times they seem pleasantly electrifying. This is great energy for a fling with friends or a party. Folks will have more freedom seeking in their relationships during this transit, but it does not favor being clingy, possessive, or jealous. Allow loved ones more leeway and flexibility, and this could greatly broaden your understanding of your partners and friends, and in doing so, new insights into yourself. The 19th is to Ben or reed or corn, again in the Mayan Tzolkin calendar. This is duality experience through maintaining the home. I'm not covering the moon in these reports anymore, although the moon aspects will be written down on the Facebook page, or if you go to my blogger page, it has the full text including the lunar activity. But basically, just trying to keep these reports a little bit shorter. They've been getting pretty long. So anyway, then on March 20th, we have 3 Ish or Jaguar. This is about taking actions through enjoying nature. While the equinox occurs when the sun enters into the sign of Aries. This will be spring in the northern hemisphere, autumn in the southern hemisphere. And so this is a time when light and dark are equal. And this year's spring equinox chart, as you can see right here, it's very interesting. Basically, we have the sun here, but it's virtually unaspected by any of the other planets in the chart, with the exception of a very weak and separating trine or 120-degree angle to Saturn. It's out of sign and it's almost out of orb. So even though the sun's position is why we study the equinox chart to sort of get a sense of what the upcoming season is like, this year the sun is completely without allies. It's almost as if this is the emperor at the moment that his subjects become aware that he's unclothed in public. When looking at this chart for Washington, D.C., at 12:58 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we see that the sun is in the 10th house. So this is which as well. So this the sun in the 10th house is the house of world standings. This implies that the United States will be humiliated publicly during the next 3 months leading up to the solstice. With Uranus in the 10th house, we can also see that this is likely to be a sudden and unexpected, which I think represents a rogue nation or a wildcat individual. Not only that, the most positive aspect of the chart is a strong sextile between Venus here and Uranus over here, and so the sextile again, it's a 60-degree angle, which implies that people will cheer the unexpected toppling of the bully on the playground of the world. Uranus is really the key to the equinox chart because it's the head of a T-square between Jupiter and Pluto in opposition. So these two are at a 180-degree angle from each other, and Uranus is up here at a 90-degree angle to that opposition. So the USA equinox chart has an ascendant of 14 degrees Cancer, which is conjunct the USA's natal sun right here. I'm just holding up the USA chart for a moment here. And so, which I've cast for July 4th of 1776. And in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and the time of that is at 5:10 p.m. according to most of the authorities that I've looked at. So this puts the Saturn puts the Jupiter-Pluto axis right in line with the ascendant and the descendant, with an emphasis on the 6th and 12th houses. So we have Jupiter, we have Pluto over here in the 6th house. We have Jupiter. And we have Jupiter over here in the 12th house when cast for the United States. So this is a polarity that represents that service and health are feeling a great amount of tension as Jupiter brings an expansion to completing, self-undoing, and the illusion, particularly related to the USA, with Pluto bringing a death to service and health of the citizens, being in the 6th house. So the sun is applying towards the midheaven. So right here, this dark line represents the midheaven. The sun is moving, it's just moved past that. Well, wait, because actually we would look at, if we looked at the transiting of these, it would be applying, it would be moving towards that point, because we rise on the ascendant, we set on the descendant. So basically, the sun applying to the midheaven, this is like a showdown at high noon. We have Jupiter expanding the sunrise, but Pluto is extinguishing the sunset, with both planets at a 90-degree square to Uranus and Aries, representing the individual revolutionary. If ever the United States citizens were going to confront their run-amok, usurped government, it's going to be during this Chinese year of the maverick horse. The good news is there's a grand trine in this chart between Jupiter in Cancer and Chiron in Pisces. Let's see where that is, right here. And then also to to the moon. Is it right? Yes. To excuse me, I'm just losing my place. To the moon in Scorpio, which is also a kite with Pluto and Capricorn forming the tail. So we've got here, just to go back over it, we've got Jupiter in Cancer, we have Chiron up here in Pisces, we have the moon here in Scorpio, and then we have Pluto here in Capricorn, forming this kite formation. And so Chiron makes this a healing event that influences the next 3 months. But also because this is the spring equinox, its influence may be felt for the next year, regardless of where you live on the planet. I believe all people all over the world have felt oppressed by governments and by the United States. So this transition of power will be felt globally as a healing of our past collective wounds. Equinox Pluto is at 13 degrees and 24 minutes, which is a very, very tight opposition to the USA natal sun at 13 degrees, 18 minutes of Cancer. So Pluto's in Capricorn at 13 degrees, 24 minutes Capricorn. The natal USA sun is 13 degrees, 18 minutes of Cancer. This is a very, very tight angle in this equinox, which makes me believe that fortunes could be overturned in a blink of an eye, which is to be expected with the elite's response of let them eat cake when informed that the needs of the masses are unattainable. So, it makes me think of the French Revolution. What's that new apparatus in the town square? It seems like they're having a sale on pitchforks and torches. The USA sun in opposition to transiting Pluto has never occurred before in the history of the United States. This is a very significant equinox, which places the USA as ground zero, but the ripples will be encompassing the rest of the globe. We've got Mercury conjunct Neptune in the chart here, right over here, so with Mercury conjunct Neptune in the equinox chart, it might influence our imaginations to go overboard into illusions and delusions, but it also enhances intuition. It might bring confused thinking and communications and a temptation towards dishonesty. It might be a time to avoid any kind of legal agreements or contracts due to a lack of clarity and the possibility of being misled. I've also cast the human design chart for the USA here, and Pluto is here in the 38th gate. The USA Sun is here in the 39th gate. But I'm just going to go over this real quick. This position means that the USA Earth and this action is exact on March 13th. So what we're seeing is Pluto's entered into the 5th line of the 38th hexagram just prior to the equinox, like I said, March 13th, which is where Pluto is detrimented, which is also detrimenting the United States, USA, the USA Earth, according to human design. The 5th line in the 38th gate is alienation, a stage in opposition where one is totally isolated. Detrimented is described as alienation, experienced as painful confinement that by its very nature binds one to the possibility that there are those at some point who may come to one's aid. The energy for stubbornness that is so strong that it is difficult to recognize that there are others that can help in times of struggle. And if you're interested in more depth regarding this time period from a human design perspective, you might want to check out the New World Births neutrino forecast for March 9th, and it's subtitled A Heretic Stake Begins. Overall, the astrology, no matter where you are on the earth, indicates that we will experience an unexpected change during the next 3 months leading up to the solstice on June 21st, which will be a time of dramatic new beginnings. The 21st of March is for men or eagle. It's stability through seeing from a higher perspective according to the Mayan Tzolkin calendar. And then on the 22nd, we have 5 Kiev or wisdom, empowerment through introspection, meditation, and forgiveness, while Mercury is conjunct with Neptune. From our perspective here on Earth, this would actually be forming they're exactly at the same degree of Pisces. The chart's a little cattywampus here, but I just understand that this is what we're looking at. And when Mercury's conjunct Neptune, it really has 2 different possibilities. The positive is we're able to express ideas and feelings that are very subtle, but not usually available to our conscious minds, which is wonderful for artistic expression, exploring any mystical subjects. The negative aspect would be that our imaginations go overboard into illusions and delusions. It may be confusing our thinking and communication, with also with a temptation towards dishonesty. So it might be a time to really avoid legal agreements or contracts due to a lack of clarity and the possibility of being misled or deceived. The 23rd is 6 Kaban or Earth. It's about being in the flow through gratitude for Mother Earth in the Mayan Tzolkin. The March 24th is 7 Etsnob or Flint. This is about reflection through introspection. And then the 25th is 8 Kawak or Storm, balanced through recognizing the gifts in adversity. March 26th is 9 Ahau or Sun. This is patience experienced through honoring the wisdom and memory of our ancestors. And at this point, Mercury is in a trine to Jupiter. So from our perspective here on Earth, Mercury is forming a 120-degree angle to Jupiter. And this is great energy for making plans for the future from an overview perspective. That's what Jupiter brings us. The transit does influence us to take the easy way out and avoid difficult intellectual and mental problems. Mercury supported by Jupiter is good for business dealings and signing contracts, as we find our minds are sharper to see opportunities that normally are overlooked. This is opportunistic and promotes positive thinking and the studying of subjects that deal with a high level of thought, such as law, philosophy, religion would all fall into that type of category. The 27th, we have 10 Imish or crocodile, manifestation through nurturing new beginnings in the Mayan Tzolkin calendar. March 28th is 11 Eek or wind. This is about resolution through communications, while we have the planet of communications, Mercury, forming a 60-degree angle with Pluto here. So from our perspective here on the Earth, this is forming a 60-degree angle, which loves the mysterious. It wants to know what cannot be known. Our minds are really active in penetrating below the surface in search of core knowledge and real knowledge in search of the truth. This is great for studying philosophy, astrology, occult subjects, and healing techniques that are aimed at regeneration. But realize that folks may be really certain of their truths and engage in trying to convince others who are also certain of their personal truths, because all these transits are affecting everybody on the globe. So this pairing might be better to focus on your own investigation and save persuading others for another day. The 29th is 12 Akbal or night, understanding through contemplating the stars. And this day, Venus makes 2 angles. It's forming a trine to Mars. So here we have Venus. So from our perspective here on Earth, this is a 120-degree angle. It's also squaring Saturn. So From our perspective here on Earth, Venus is forming a 90-degree angle with Saturn. Venus finding support from Mars can have a variety of effects, most of which are favorable. This brings the energy to be assertive without offending others, as folks appreciate directness. This brings a nice balance between balance between your needs to be an individual with your personal wants and your needs to relate to others. Whenever there's contact, an angle being formed between Venus and Mars, there's a likelihood of an aroused sex drive. People are more likely to be charming and agreeable. This brings a concern that also that the partner is enjoying the relationship as well, which fulfills an important requirement of a successful sexual connection. A relationship begun during this time has a good chance of lasting, but even if this is a short-term liaison, they're likely to be satisfying without any kind of bitterness at the time of parting, which could make for a really interesting day because we also have this Venus squaring Saturn, which is almost like the opposite energy of Venus trine Mars. It's a day when we're having difficulty relating to others. There's sort of this feeling cool, reserved, isolating. Many may be reevaluating what they're getting out of their relationships as compared to what they're putting in. If you're feeling loneliness or depression on the 29th, just realize that this too shall pass. Overall, I think that these two transits will balance each other out. So the highs are not too high, the lows are not too low. Also on the 29th, Mercury is conjunct Chiron, and which is likely to increase our dialogue regarding our past wounds and future healing. And in Pisces, it's probably going to have some kind of mystical or spiritual quality regarding releasing through surrender of something that really is no longer serving us. And then on March 30th, we reach 13 Con or Seed or Lizard, movement to the next stage through planting seeds or making new connections. And this is the second new moon of the month. It's also known as the black moon. Most of us know that when we have two full moons in a month, we call that the second one the blue moon. When we have two new moons in a month, the second one's called the black moon. This time it's in the sign of Aries. As it merges with the Sun and Uranus and is challenged by Jupiter and Pluto, Aries illuminates new beginnings. It's restlessness, impulsivity, impatience. It's about the self. It's about courage. The moon conjunct Uranus has people feeling impulsive, acting rashly, with moods changing quickly and unexpectedly. The moon square Jupiter brings benevolent and generous feelings for those in our immediate environment, and it's this lunation square to Pluto influences folks to have the compulsion to act in ways that may not be good for them in the long run. New moons are an opportunity to set an intention for manifestation on the following full moon. So what you want to do is you look at your chart, your astrology chart, and look what house contains 10 degrees of Aries, to consider what area of your life is being activated by this new moon. For me, this is the 11th house of hopes and dreams, but also of friendships and groups. So I'd set an intention related to using this energy in those areas. If you're able to use if you were able to use February to let go of past relationships, situations, and beliefs that no longer serve you, this new moon in Aries is calling you to embrace your true self and move forward in new directions unencumbered by all those things that we let go back in February. With Uranus, Jupiter, and Pluto acting in this lunation, this change is likely to be unexpected, expansive, and empowering. So no matter what energies are affecting you during the one road Trecena or 13-day period, just take some time out to be in the flow of the planet by being in nature or watching a sunrise or a sunset, communing with the stars, being conscious of the moment through introspection, meditation, or just truly being conscious with somebody you love. Uh, every day we have is a blessing, no matter what are the dramas that beckon to distract us. We're all just here giving the performance of a lifetime on the world stage, but just take some time out to observe the play as well as act your part by remembering that you're a spiritual being that's having a human experience. I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of Care and Feeding of a New World Age will be on March 31st, 2014 for one Chichan or Serpent with Venus moving into Pisces and Mercury moving into Aries. You can check us out on Facebook, YouTube, or the Mayan Magics website. I encourage you to share this information as video or as text as widely as you choose. I'm going to be discussing the metaphysics of April 2014 and be providing some short 10 to 15 minute human design readings to the participants of the Earth Needs Rebel show on True. I'm forgetting what the radio station is, and I'm not hearing any prompting here. The radio show will be on April 1st, and it occurs at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And it's really great if you want to participate in the show. They will contact you anywhere on the planet if you just get into their chat, then call you anywhere on the planet if you want to come on to the show. And the show will be on Truth Frequency Radio. As always, I invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading. And I am providing readings in which to make the service available to the greatest amount of people. So if you want to just try out a reading, go and join us on the radio show. And that'll give you like a little 10 to 15 minute sampler. But the readings I do provide for paid readings are epic, usually 2 hours or more in length. And so I've created 3 options and levels with 3 different levels of compensation. These readings are really designed to provide information to help you navigate these difficult times. At the basic level, we will look at your human design chart to help you understand how to use your individual strategy and authority in making life decisions based on your unique design. I include 3 months of astrological transits as they relate to your natal and progressive astrology chart, along with the human design reading at the middle level. At the top level, the human design and astrology transit reading is recorded and sent to you as an MP3 file that you can download onto your computer. So if you've been thinking about getting a reading during these please contact me. I'd love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You're going to need to either be able to call me in Maine in the USA, or we can connect on Skype to receive your reading. Also, we're accepting donations to keep these reports freely available, and you can email me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you want to make some kind of donation. But the best way to make a donation is get a reading. That way you get a benefit of the information that's really targeted, really about you, and it helps us continue to keep New World Birth going and viable to providing these free reports on the internet. So as always, I'm totally blessed that you've taken the time out to connect with my passion for all these ancient mysteries and their application in our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste and Lakesh, and thank you so much for your attention to this information. to listening to these reports. And I hope to connect with you in future reports or on the radio show or in a reading. But anyway, thank you. You have totally blessed me with your time and attention. So peace, everybody.